Well, hello everyone. Today I want to address some misconceptions, especially about the levels of MGTOW. There's this idea floating around that you start from level 1, which is basic knowledge, and proceed all the way up to monk mode. While we agree on the natural conclusion of MGTOW, reaching that progression is given less intricacy than it deserves. We'll start with clarifying our terms. Blue pill is essentially social slavery. Although informed by biological instincts, it is not the natural order. Blue pill can best be summarized with "we as animals." Purple pill is less of a distinct stage and more of a transitionary period, often marked by curiosity and apprehension. This is the final turning point. If you go beyond this, if you overcome your fear of the unknown to become red pill, there's no going back. Purple pill can best be summarized with "we as unique animals," as it teases our capability of understanding our own limitations and place on a worldly scale. Next, we have the red pill, often initially marked by rage. Anger is a rational response to unfairness. It is a natural call to action. Despite this, it is important to maintain stability and not do anything rash. Anger is not the only common emotion that pops up during this time, but it often overshadows the others. Moving on from this is where red pill fractures off into its distinguishable groups. We'll come back to that in a minute. Red pill can best be summarized with "we as individuals." Last but not least is the black pill, a new term, often characterized by nihilism and malaise. This is the other common emotion for early red pillars. It's a certain apathy brought on by purposelessness, when you feel you have been stripped of your meaning. There is also a sense of scale, where the individual doesn't matter. The black pill can best be summarized with "we as inconsequential improbabilities." Individuals new to the red pill path seem to conceptualize it like so. Starting with the blue pill, transitioning through purple into red, where all the various factions split off, and after accumulating enough experience, eventually moving on to either enlightenment or nihilism. There are a few things wrong with this, namely that the blue pill is not the starting point, black pill is not a stage 4 and not even a distinct stage unto itself, and ultimately betrays a fundamental misunderstanding. Knowledge gets you to the red pill, but philosophy carries you further. This is a more accurate depiction of the red pill roadmap. Purple pill is the starting point. It is a matter of socialization and indoctrination that carries most men into the blue pill. It's an easy path, it's a short path, and essentially results in the exaggeration of instincts. We know that purple pill is a starting point because men have instincts on both sides. This is a case where the wolf that you feed is the one that wins. Going the other way requires knowledge and experience. Moving into the red pill, at first you'll encounter the men's rights activists, or MRAs, who essentially want to return to the plantation with a clean conscience. It is optimistic and shallow. As much as I appreciate your work, gentlemen, it is ineffectual at best. MRAs want to fix the system. You can see there's a significant overlap between the red pill and the black pill. While the black pill has overlap with the other pills as well, somewhat being exceptional pessimism, we are not interested in those subdivisions for the purposes of this video. Where an individual lands depends on philosophy and perspective. As an example of this, we have the pickup artists, or PUAs. Most realize that they cannot restore the system, so they settle on using it for their advantage, thus putting them closer to the nihilistic side of the graph. I don't want to imply from where I placed it that POAs are a step after MRAs, or that one precludes the other. Rather, they are simply more resilient to motion on the graph as experience accumulates. POAs want to use the system. MGTOW is by far the widest field that fits on this graph, and encompasses a significant number of philosophies of its own. For instance, men who opt out for self-protection or as a form of political action, which is ironically the most effective political action a man can take, tend to be at the low to mid-range of knowledge and err to the optimistic side, while those who are simply sick of the state of modern women fall to the pessimistic side. I set MGTOW to the far end of knowledge and experience, and in the middle between optimism and pessimism. At once, because any man in the red pill seems to be drawn toward MGTOW given enough experience. For second, because the pinnacle of MGTOW is self-actualization. requiring a significant investment of knowledge and fundamental philosophical shifts, often leaving you somewhere between self-interest and apathy. And of course, from there, each man must forge his own path. MGTOW, in general, want to leave the system. To stand on the shoulders of giants, I have a chart here from the Venerable Coltane. This is a modified Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we'll be going through it in the same order that we summarized things to begin with. Blue pillars are constrained to this section of the chart. They start by satisfying base physiological needs just like every other human, but you start to paint an interesting picture moving up from there. Safety, for instance, represents not only the individual man's safety, but the safety of women around him. Satisfying that need moves into the love and belonging stage, where he's looking for the acceptance of women. And finally, he peaks at the self-esteem stage, which manifests in the dominance instinct, an instinct that has specifically evolved to increase his ability to provide for women. We see here that the blue pill man can never self-actualize, as at every stage of his progression he is actualizing the needs of others. This is why, after taking the red pill, you essentially have to start over, and that experience will be worse for men who have made it further through their progression, or have invested significant time and effort into it. So let's talk about that first red pill group again, the MRAs. MRAs fit firmly in the safety category. They want the risks mitigated so they can move into the love and belonging stage. And while I can appreciate them having more prescience than the average male, they're still acting in the interest of families. They're just actually taking care of their own safety in the meantime, which is why I cynically say they want to go back to the plantation. But that's enough about them. Next, we'll take a look at the PUAs. Remember when I said that PUAs are more resistant to moving up the graph? This is why. They move beyond the safety stage into chasing tail, and the more successful ones fall into the esteem category, often counting their conquests. But again, that's enough about them. We're here to talk about MGTOW. Now, the definition of MGTOW is perhaps too broad, including everything from those simply walking away for their own safety to those truly achieving self-actualization. But nonetheless, this is a distinct path of its own, so maybe it's not that bad. I'm sure you've noticed a significant overlap between these different groups, and this is where I call back to my previous claim that it's about philosophy. Progressing beyond the love and belonging stage looks very different to a PUA than a man going his own way. While a PUA is still looking for female affection, MGTOW would opt for building friendships or looking internally. This graphic is an accurate representation of one dimension that leads to self-actualization. However, realistically speaking, there are at least 3 dimensions required, the others being experience and perspective. Whereas the other red pill groups still fundamentally revolve around women, only MGTOW, men who have undergone fantastical psychological shifts into prioritizing their own freedom, can achieve self-actualization. If you truly want to be free, this is your checklist for achieving that. Start from the bottom. Prioritize your safety. Do not allow yourself to be a disposable utility for the use of others. Next, find an alternative and reliable way of satisfying your need for belonging. Then, learn to respect yourself on the basis of being human and keep yourself in respectable condition, rather than relying on your dominance instinct to build confidence. Your self-esteem should be based on achievement, but those human doings should focus on improving yourself or mankind as a whole, not in the service of women. If you made it this far, it's time for some introspection. Take some time and learn about yourself with a lack of prejudice. Don't latch onto hobbies like gaming or fishing, but rather search for values that are important to you, such as justice, liberty, or serenity. If, like me, you were raised blue pill, this will be the most difficult yet most rewarding path you can take. In the same way that you ingest red pill knowledge and there's no going back, experiencing this fundamental philosophical shift and tasting true freedom will leave you with a craving for nothing else. Throughout history, pioneers have always faced adversity. This is no exception. So hopefully, I've added one more tool to your arsenal that will carry you safely on your path. As they say, knowledge is power. This is Terminarch out.